you have stats for these monsters, these very famous creatures you may or may not run into. And certainly there isn't like, you know, thousands and thousands of different types of monsters, but like there are iconic, like, you know, we've got the orc, we've got the balrog, we've got all these different creatures that breathe life into this world that are very exciting to have now. And now you can play them.
Yeah, one of the things I'd like to say about that is that our game, when I started designing it, my goal was to make a game that is as adherent and faithful to the sources as possible. Other games in the past took more liberties with the canonical sources. And it was my own experience that when they strayed too far, for me, it stopped being Middle Earth. And I didn't want this to happen with the game, with the One Ring and the Lord of the Rings RPG. So everything is canonical and it's based on the writings. I mean, we always went so far as using words that appear in the books for everything, for stats, for abilities. They're basically quotes from the book in form of titles and names for skills and so on. So when we applied this to the bestiary of the game, it became a problem because there are not so many monsters. And so there were two ways to approach that. And one is that we have to make the Dungeon Master and the players realize that monsters are not meant to be the monster of the week. Mm-hmm. They're not meant to it's not like when you have the Dungeon Master guide with 300 monsters inside and you can just flip and pick one and place it and make an interesting adventure based on the creature. You have really to try and make those monsters more personalized. There have to be a bigger combination between the adventure and the monsters and so on, so that they don't feel out of place, they feel meaningful and so on. But there's another thing, and that depends on the actual players and the group you're playing with. If they feel comfortable with stretching the limits of canon, you can go beyond that, because you have to keep in mind that Tolkien himself invented monsters all the time, whenever he needed one. So if he could have written a sequel to The Lord of the Rings, he would have invented more. We would have a wider mystery in The Lord of the Rings, because he created the Old Man Willow when he needed that, the Barrow Wights when he needed those, the Watcher in the Water because he needed a monster in the lake, and so on. So if you want, you can do that. We even have rules for nameless creatures that are a sort of a kit bash system to put together different monsters whenever you need them, underground, over the ground, and so on. So that really depends on how comfortable you feel with creating and adding new stuff, instead of us doing it for you so that you don't. I mean, I remember in first edition of the game, we had basilisks in a valley in the Wilderland. And that had people feeling that really comfortable with that. So we're trying to avoid that type of pitfalls in the new edition and be as close as possible. So far, it seems we succeeded. So
and that's
you'll
so
find
important.
Plenty of monsters, but still canonical.